Hello everyone, myself Siv Krishna. Today I am going to explain how we can use VBA code in Excel automation with UiPath. So let's get started. VBA code is mainly used to make Excel operations faster and more efficient way. With VBA, we can easily create pivot tables and generate the charts, and we can handle large amount of data. In this video, I am going to take 3 simple scenarios where we can use VBA codes. The first scenario, refreshing pivot tables. For the demonstration purpose, I have created this Excel and we have a country and continent, and based on this data I have created this pivot table. So basically the pivot table will not get updated as soon as we added the data in the sheet 1. So to update this pivot table, we need to click on refresh all, then only the pivot table will going to be updated. So let me show you one example here. So this data is not updated, so click on refresh all. So now the pivot table is updated. So let's see how we can refresh the pivot tables using the VBA code. So to get the VBA code in simple way, first we will create a macro. In macro we will have a VBA code. So to create the macro, click on view, macros, record macro, and we will going to refresh the pivot tables in the report sheet, and then go to the pivot chart analyzer, click on refresh all. Stop the macros recording, view macros, edit, and this is the VBA code to refresh the pivot table. I am going to copy this entire code, go to the studio and go to the project folder. To save this VBA code, I am going to create one text file, and I am going to mention the file name as VBA code. I am going to change the VBA method to meaningful way. So now this is my complete VBA method to update the pivot table. So let's see how we can get the real-time data to update the Excel file, and then how we can use this VBA code to update the pivot tables. To get the real-time data, I am using this application. So let's see how we can implement to get the data and update the VBA code. To get the data, I am using the table extractor. So in this I required only the country and the continent. So to update the data in the Excel, I am going to use Excel applications code. Mention the file name, and then I'm going to append the extracted information in the sheet 1. For that I'm going to take append range activity. Now we updated the information in the sheet 1, then our next step is to call the VBA code to update the pivot table. So to call the VBA code, we have an active invoke VBA, mention the VBA code file path, and then we need to mention the method name. That's it. Now close the Excel file. Now run the process and see the output. the data got updated and also the pivot table also get updated. The second scenario. So in the second scenario, I just wanted to take all the Asian data and then I wanted to create a separate sheet. So let's see how we can do that. So again, first I'm going to start the recording for macro. So these are the steps I need to follow to copy and paste the Asian data. So this is the required VBA code. So let me copy this entire code, go to the VBA code file and paste. So basically if you observe, this is selecting the static range, so we need to make it as a dynamic. You will get this code in the online Google or ChatGPT. So I'm copying that data and pasting here. What it will do, it will select the sheet 1 and then get the last row and then filter the Asia data, then it will do copy and pasting. So let me change the method name for this. So let me call this VBA code let's run the process and see the output. Now sheet 2 got created with Asian data and the pivot table got updated. The third scenario, I just wanted to give red color to the African continent. So for that, let me start the macro recording. Select Africa continent. The red color. That's it. Stop the recording. Now this is my VBA code. Copy the code. Go to the VBA code notepad file. Give the meaningful name. So again here it is a static range, so we need to make it as a dynamic. So I am using the same code here. That's it. So let me call this VBA in the UiPath Studio. So let's run the process and see the output. Africa continent data got changed to red, and we have a sheet 2 with Asian data, and the report, the pivot table got updated. So this way we can work with VBA code in the Excel automation in UiPath Studio.